Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, August the 13th, and we are here to look at the new releases that are being set into the world today. And on Tuesdays, we look at mysteries and thrillers. And quick announcements, I do have sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I do them 3 times a week, every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. Tonight we'll go for 2.5 hours. And hope you can come. Hope you will bring a friend. I almost didn't get started here. I'm finishing up a book. I'm at 94%, and all has been revealed, and all the mayhem afterward. It's called After Oz by Gordon McAlpin, and it is rather good. Well, let's do a check in here. Kim says, "Good morning. Good morning. Cajun morning, everyone. Last day off. Back to work tomorrow. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Kim, I'm awake barely. I feel you. And have routine fasting lab work this morning. Oh, that's no fun. Hopefully it's soon and then you can eat something. Cajun, hope it goes well. Indeed. Indeed. Well, we are here to look at mysteries and thrillers. Let's jump in. A Blood Red Morning, third in the Henri Lefort Mysteries by Mark Pryor. January 1941. It's cold and still dark when Paris detective Henri Lefort wakes up to an empty apartment, irritated with his roommate for not even starting the coffee. Irritation turns to suspicion when he starts his walk to work and spots a large blood stain in front of the building. At the office, his boss, chief of homicide, is incredulous that Henri didn't hear the gunshot that killed a man right outside his apartment. On the plus side, this means that Henri isn't a witness and can investigate the case. It first appears that the dead man is a nobody, but Henri soon finds out he's a nobody with a classified police file. Henri confronts his bosses and then the Germans, but is stonewalled, so he turns his investigation to the other tenants in his building. Coincidentally, each resident claims ignorance. When Henri learns that the dead man was a German agent, he must face the real possibility that one of his friends and neighbors is a killer. It's his job to find the truth no matter what, but when he does, he faces the biggest dilemma of his career. Whether in times like these the rules of justice should be just sometimes trumped by the rules of war. Never did say where his roommate was. Says it's at 9:50. Okay, not too bad. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for popping in. Cajun, I listened to a podcast with Richard Osman and just heard he has started work on Thursday Murder Club number 5. Oh, that is good news. And Cajun says, hello. Well, Tiffany, we are looking at the harder stuff today. Cozy's was yesterday, but we appreciate you popping in. All the Way Gone by Joanna Schaffhausen, fourth in the Detective Annalisa Vega series. Is there such a thing as a good sociopath? Newly minted private investigator Annalisa Vega is skeptical, but her first client, Mara Delaney, insists that some sociopaths are beneficial to society. Mara has even written a book titled The Good Sociopath, centered around Chicago neurosurgeon Craig Canning. Dr. Canning has saved hundreds of lives, so it shouldn't matter that he doesn't actually care about his patients, should it? But Mara has a more urgent problem. She is now concerned that Canning might not be such a good sociopath after all. A young woman in Canning's apartment building mysteriously plunged to her death from a balcony, and Mara fears Canning could be responsible. She needs to uncover the truth about Canning before the book comes out, so Annalisa has little time to search for answers. She quickly discovers that more than one person wanted the young woman dead. Canning insists he didn't do it. His charming, unflappable demeanor suggests that either he's telling the truth or Mara is right and he's cold-blooded to the core. But the cops believe the girl's death was an accident. The more Annalisa probes, the more she becomes convinced it's a fiendishly clever murder, one only a brilliant sociopath could pull off. She draws deeper into a battle of wits with Canning, so determined to prove his guilt that she forgets Mara's most important warning, that sociopaths only care about winning at all costs. When Annalisa finally peels back the layers of deceit to reveal the horrifying truth of the girl's death, she may be too late to save herself. Dun dun dun. Karen Rose has a new one. Oh, too bad Annalisa's not here today. Yeah. And gotcha. Have a meeting in a few minutes. Have a great day. Appreciate you popping in. I know you don't like the grittier kind of stuff, so it's okay. This is called Buried Too Deep, a New Orleans novel, third in that series. Three can keep a secret if two of them are dead. Employed as the nighttime security guard of Broussard Investigations, Phineas Bishop has been working through overwhelming PTSD episodes from his army service while still utilizing his military skills. But when a violent break-in occurs at the office, the accusatory eyes of the NOPD are on Finn, and he resolves to track down the intruder and clear his name. Finn's only lead is Cora Winslow, a spirited librarian who also needs answers. The body of her father, murdered 23 years ago, has just been discovered under a recently demolished building. So who has been sending her handwritten letters, written and signed by her father, every year since she was 5? Someone wants to keep Cora in the dark, and now they're coming after her. As Cora's self-appointed bodyguard, Finn is surprised by his growing fondness for the woman and her fierce determination and research prowess. But New Orleans' Garden District holds secrets as old as the streets themselves. With help from the entire Broussard PI team, Finn and Cora enter a labyrinth of fraud and homicide that threatens to bury them all. I'd say that's probably romantic suspense. I've not read Karen Rose that I recall. The Plus One by S.C. Lally. The wedding of Radhika Singh and Raj Joshi, a week-long affair at a luxury resort in Cabo, isn't just going to be the event of the season. It will also mark the union of two highly influential and wealthy Indian American families. No expense will be spared for what Radhika and Raj have coined R&R, a weekend of rest, relaxation, and celebrating their love. Shaylee Shea Kapoor is just an outsider, but she just so happens to be dating Raj's best friend, Caleb Prescott III, and is sucked into this world of wealth and excess. But on the morning the wedding festivities are supposed to begin, the resort's wedding coordinator, Daniela, makes a frightening discovery. Raj and Radhika are dead. Flying critter. Uh, Gunshots to the head. Chaos descends on the hotel as the guests are turned away or sent home. Why would they be sent home? They're witnesses and or suspects. Shay stays by Caleb's side as the investigation starts to unfold. Family and close friends grieve and accusations run wild. The police believe the murders are a drug cartel hit. But even if it was a cartel hit, even if the murderer somehow got past the resort security, well, because he'll let people go, the hotel room doors have state-of-the-art locks. There was no way for the murderer to slip into the room without a key, and only the sister of the bride, Zara, the best men, Caleb and Sean, and the wedding coordinator, Daniela, have keys. Shay may be an outsider, she definitely has secrets of her own, but she may be the only person with enough perspective to untangle everyone's lies and discover why anyone would want the bride and groom dead. Worst Case Scenario by T.J. Newman. When a pilot suffers a heart attack at 35,000 feet, a commercial airliner filled with passengers crashes into a nuclear power plant in the small town of Kedah, Minnesota, which becomes ground zero for a catastrophic national crisis with global implications. The International Nuclear Event Scale tracks nuclear disasters. It has 7 levels. Level 7 is a major accident with only 2 on record, Fukushima and Chernobyl. There has never been a level 8 until now. In this heart-stopping thriller, ordinary people, power plant employees, firefighters, teachers, families, neighbors, and friends are thrust into an extraordinary situation as they face the ultimate test of their lives. It will take the combined courage, ingenuity, and determination of a brave few to save not only their community and loved ones, but the fate of humanity at large. Till Death Do Us Part. I think we're having a wedding theme this week. By Laurie Elizabeth Flynn. 10 years ago, June's beloved husband drowned on their honeymoon, his body never found. How do you know he drowned then? Now, a decade later, June is finally ready to move on. She owns a natural wine bar in Brooklyn and is engaged to a patient, supportive man named Kyle. She's excited to finally begin a new chapter in her life and start a family. But out of the blue, she sees him, Josh, her first husband. Is this just a hallucination from the guilt June carries about finally moving on? Or is it possible that her husband never died in the first place? June tries to forget about this vision, chalking it up to grief and nerves, but soon enough she stumbles across a website for a winery in Napa, and the owner in the photo is identical to her dead husband. With her upcoming wedding looming and a fiance who's already worried she hasn't quite left her past behind, June secretly flies to Napa for answers. But she's not prepared for all the secrets she's about to unlock because everything she thought she knew about her first love is a lie. The Snap by Elizabeth Staple. Poppy Benjamin, media relations director of Syracuse's storied NFL team, the Bobcats, fought tooth and nail for her career. Ever since her intern season 15 years ago, it's been nothing but early mornings, late nights, barely dodged inappropriate advances, and relationships lost with boyfriends who didn't get it. That's why Poppy relies on the Women Against Groping Shitheads, a support network that knows her far better than her own family. In-house counsel for the NBA team, I thought it was NFL. A celebrated reporter, all of the WAGs are high-ranking women. Oh, that's other women in there. Okay. In sports, who need a release from the indignities and frustrations that come from navigating the ultimate boys club. But on the very morning that Poppy's legendary head coach is found dead in his home, 5 notes threatening tell the truth or pay the consequences hits the WAGs like a 300-pound lineman. Who's aware of the little group they tried their best to keep under wraps, and what reason would they have to threaten it? As long-buried secrets are brought to light, Poppy is forced to revisit a dangerous mistake from the start of her career that puts everything she's built at risk. That is a very unique perspective. I don't think anybody's done that before. Good for that author. I Need You to Read This by Jessa Maxwell. Or maybe that's just subtle marketing. Her most important letter might be her last. Years ago, Alex Marks escaped to New York City for a fresh start. Now, aside from trips to her regular diner for coffee, she keeps to herself, gets her perfectly normal copywriting job done, and doesn't date. Her carefully cultivated world is upended when her childhood hero, Frances Keene, is brutally murdered. Frances was the woman behind the famous advice column, Dear Constance, and her words helped Alex through some of her darkest times. When Alex sees an advertisement searching for her replacement, she impulsively applies, never expecting to actually get the job. Against all odds, Alex is given the position and quickly proves herself skilled at solving other people's problems. But soon she begins to receive strange, potentially threatening letters at the office. Frances's murderer was never identified, turning everyone around her into a threat, including her boss, editor-in-chief Howard Dimitri, who has a habit of staying late at the office and drinking too much. As Alex is drawn into the details surrounding her predecessor's murder, her own dark secrets begin to rise to the surface, and Alex suddenly finds herself trapped in a dangerous and potentially deadly game of cat and mouse that takes her all the way from the power centers of Manhattan to Frances Keene's summer house, where her body was found and where the killer may just be waiting for her. because killers never leave the scene of the crime. Riptide by Colleen McKeegan. It's been 15 years since Kimmy Devine promised herself she'd never move back to Rocky Cape, the idyllic South Jersey beach town where she grew up. She doesn't want to relive the crushing heartbreak and scandal that ravaged her world as a teen. Her younger sister Erin shares those feelings, the wounds she caused so many years ago forever binding her and Kimmy. Yet, here they are, back in their hometown. Kimmy floundering after quitting her high-powered finance job in London to help her dad run the family's hardware stores. Erin reeling from fertility issues and an ongoing divorce, begging to be taken seriously by her parents. The more time they spend in Rocky Cape, the stronger the pull of nostalgia, and both Erin and Kimmy slip on the past like a pair of last year's sandals, forgetting about the blisters when worn too long. There's a metaphor. As the sisters celebrate their homecoming at their parents' yacht club, a handful of familiar faces arrive to dampen the revelry. The next morning, a body is found floating nearby, and long buried secrets from their adolescence begin to emerge. Someone from the sisters' past, it seems, is out for revenge. I do kind of like the cover. It's like an impressionist painting. Dear Hannah by Zoji Stage. Hannah is no stranger to dark thoughts. As a young child, she tried to murder her own mother. But that was more than 16 years ago. And extensive therapy and writing letters to her younger brother has since curbed those nasty tendencies. Now 24, Hannah is living an outwardly normal life of domestic content. Married to real estate agent Jacob, she's also stepmother to his teenage daughter Joelle. They live in a beautiful home, and Hannah loves her career as a phlebotomist, a job perfectly suited to her occasional need to hurt people. Oh, great. Uh, I don't want to give blood. But when Joelle begins to change in ways that don't suit Hannah's purposes, her carefully planned existence threatens to come apart, with life slipping out of her control. And Kim, don't worry about it. Hannah reverts to old habits, determined to manipulate the events and people around her. And the only thing worse than a baby sociopath is a fully grown one. With its dark humor and chillingly seductive protagonist, Dear Hannah is a standalone sequel, sure oxymoron, sure to thrill returning and new readers alike. The Stranger at the Wedding. I tell ya, weddings this week. A.E. Gauntlet is the author. Before Love at First Sight, there were things no one saw. Annie never much believed in love, that is, until meeting Mark. After crossing paths on morning commutes, they connect at a group counseling session for trauma survivors. Each recognizes something in the other, though both hide their troubled pasts. It's a whirlwind romance that propels Annie through their courtship all the way to her wedding day. Excuse me, a day she couldn't have predicted for herself once upon a time, yet now feels sure about anything in her life. But as Annie stands at the altar, casting her eyes over the rows of well-wishers, she spots a stranger in the crowd, and she soon learns that her new life isn't going to be the happily ever after that she had planned. Who is the stranger at the wedding? What really happened to Mark's first wife? And was Annie and Mark's meeting as random as it first appeared, or is something more sinister at work? Don't think you're gonna know everybody at a wedding. That's just me. Molly Sand Must Die by Laura Snyder. Marriage, secrets, betrayal. Molly Sand must die. Trapped in a suffocating marriage, Molly Sand's life is spiraling into chaos. With her controlling husband's grip tightening, she is desperate to break free and escape with her children. But beneath her fragile facade, a fire burns, fueling her overwhelming urge to shed the realities of her current life, even if it means descending into the darkest recesses of her psyche. Angel Malone, a skilled attorney, finds herself caught in the vortex of her own imploding marriage. Weary of shouldering the financial burden and enduring her husband's increasing instability, she's pushed to confront her own vulnerabilities. As Angel struggles to safeguard herself and her children, a fateful meeting binds her path with Molly's, hurtling both women down a collision course with fate. The Editors by Stephen Harrison. Aim for neutrality. We need better sources. Anonymity is fundamental. Keep developing. The editors know these principles. The editors follow them or subvert them every day. The editors aren't recognized on the street, but they craft the information that is seen on nearly every internet search. Through Infopendium, the ubiquitous, crowdsourced internet encyclopedia, the editors influence the world. Freelance journalist Morgan Wentworth, recently laid off from PopV News, attends the Global Infopendium Conference in New York expecting a straightforward story to help pay the rent. But the so-called Pendium people are full of surprises. PhDs rub shoulders with high school students, all quoting the project's rules and regulations like a second language. Sure, millions of people see the facts curated by these editors, but who really cares about free encyclopedia? When a hacker attacks the conference and posts a cryptic message, it becomes clear that somebody does, and Morgan decides to find out who. But the path through an online information war is far from clear. Foreign governments, billionaires, and a global virus threaten to sway the truth on Infopendium. And far from Morgan's sight, in places as different as Beijing and Kansas, some of the editors have plans of their own. I'm intrigued. I will check this one out further. Last one, and we just have time for it. The Second Mrs. Strom by Kara Ruda. I don't want the perfect marriage. I want revenge. If you had met me a year ago, you wouldn't have noticed me, a beautiful woman, but a struggling nobody in a tiny apartment, invisible. Meeting Paul changed that, and now here I am in Paris after a whirlwind courtship and a stunning beach proposal. I smile at my handsome husband, my eyes shining in the candlelight, my huge diamond ring sparkling on the starched white tablecloth. Other women look at me in envy. They see a couple completely in love. They're wrong. Despite this incredible luxury vacation, my husband and I can't escape our problems. I can't get over what he did with that woman just after our wedding, and my bright smile can't hide the hardness in my heart. I wonder if Paul knows the truth, that our first meeting when we fell in love wasn't the coincidence he thinks it was, that what I want from him has nothing to do with his money, and now that he's wronged me, I'll step at nothing to get it. Wah. And that is all we have for today. Well, we have a bingo on weddings, indeed. Cajun, have a good day. Kim, good luck with the blood test, and don't worry about it. Kim, thanks. And Cajun, hope you have a good day. Thank you. See you tonight. Pretty cup, indeed. And I want some of those cookies. All right. Hope you guys have a good Tuesday. Again, as mentioned, I do have sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I sometimes start a little bit early if traffic goes well after work, by about 10-15 minutes. So if you want to have the notification bell, sometimes it works. Hope you're reading good books. Please take care. And as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om nom nom. Have a good day. God bless.